We are surrounded by technology, designed to make everything faster, easier, and more entertaining. AI, social media, smartphones, streaming services. But somewhere along the way, it started demanding more from us than it gives back. We are constantly surrounded by screens, notifications, endless content. Social media gets faster every year, fighting for our attention every second. It seems like everything wants us to react, scroll, and make fast decisions. But when everything is fast, our attention gets fractured. We struggle to focus, to even hear our own thoughts. I don't think we are supposed to be that fast. Our minds don't cope with the speed. And this is why I'm dipping my toe into a more analog life in 2026. Taking control, slowing down, and saying no to behaviors that support digital addiction. I'm not going off-grid or stopping using digital devices completely. After all, many of them can help us in many different ways. But I want to be the master, not the slave. I believe that scrolling less and being more in the present moment can help me feel more grounded, making life more meaningful. Before going all in to the main topic of this video, I want to remind you that I have a mailing list. If you're interested in getting some email from me, maybe once a month, every couple of weeks, then check the link. It's in the description of this video. Of course, it's completely free and you can unsubscribe anytime. Choosing physical copies over digital services. You know the feeling when you grab your mobile phone with the intention of doing something important, like sending a message to someone or checking something out, and then you see something interesting on Instagram or wherever, and then you realize that soon you have been scrolling on your phone for 30 minutes and you have completely forgotten what you meant to do in the first place. That's one of the reasons why I prefer physical notebooks over my phone. It seems to me that every time I grab my mobile phone, there's something to distract me. That's why I think it's so much better for my mental health, for my peace of mind, for everything, that I just use those physical notebooks that only have pages, empty pages, nothing to distract me. That's when I can let my creativity flow. And my handwriting is messy. My family members constantly make fun of me because of my messy handwriting. So it's not that I'm doing calligraphy or that my notes are beautiful, not at all. But I just feel that there's something in the connection between your hand and your brain. When you do something physically and the movement connects to your brain, there's something magical in that. So it's not just about avoiding the distractions of your phone, it's also about making the most of this connection. Also, handwriting is so much slower than typing on your computer. I mostly use my computer when I need to write something, just because it's more convenient. But I believe that it's good for you to take these slow moments of handwriting things, at least occasionally. And those notebooks can be pretty as physical objects. I love choosing stationery that has beautiful covers, beautiful colors, when the paper is of good quality and it's thick and I can feel it, how the pen is gliding on the paper just in the right way. You don't get these experiences when you only use your smartphone. I have always loved books as physical objects. I've never really gotten used to listening to audiobooks because I think they encourage us to do many things at the same time, to multitask. And for me, it's also important to be able to imagine what's happening in the book just by reading the text, not letting somebody else's voice affect it. And I get attached to my books. My favorite books are such that I have been reading them since I was a teenager, some of them at least. And I want to own them as physical copies. Not all of them, of course, but some of them. So while I think that there might be a time and place for digital books, downloadable books, audiobooks. For me, the main pleasure of reading comes from printed books. That's when I can more easily focus on just the story, absorb every detail of it, take dedicated time for reading, and enjoy the cover art of the book, how the pages feel on my hands, what the book smells like. Especially if it's an old book, it can be a part of the experience. I love the smell of old books. Choosing a printed newspaper. I have almost completely stopped reading the news on my phone. I don't want to have the experience of scrolling the news, not knowing what's coming next, because the headlines nowadays are pretty depressing. And the news work in a way that it's often negative, because that grabs our attention. That's something that maybe deserves to be told. But I don't want to be bombarded with the negative news all the time. And if I read my news online, that's what I feel. I feel like I'm bombarded with something negative, something that I can't even affect in any way. That's why I have ordered a weekly newspaper that's delivered to me every Friday that puts together everything that happened during the week, everything that was important, the most important articles that were published in the newspaper during that week. And I can tell you that reading that is a different experience from just scrolling the news online. It makes me feel that I have some control over what I'm reading. It gives me the feeling that I'm being informed, but I'm not overwhelmed. Not always resorting to AI. I know that we are in this phase right now when AI is developing fast, and it's probably going to change our lives in many ways, but I still want to protect myself from using it too much. I know that it can help us in some ways, but in other ways I feel it can make our lives worse. I feel like if you always just go to ChatGPT and try to resolve all your problems with AI, you're losing the connection that you might have had with people. Of course, this change partially happened already when the internet came. And as we know, it has both good sides and bad sides, and it's a balance on how you use it. But I feel like it's good if sometimes, instead of asking AI, just call a friend, talk to somebody. I feel like if you always use AI to solve everything, you might end up feeling isolated. And to be honest, for me, if I spend too much time chatting with AI, it starts to feel like clutter. Like it's this mental clutter, too many messages, too much information that I didn't even ask for. If you ask ChatGPT a question, the answer always tends to be more than you even asked for. It makes me feel overwhelmed. There are studies saying that our critical thinking is deteriorating because of AI. And I think that's a threat. That's a really big threat to our society. So I think that instead of always asking AI, it's better to just think for yourself. Maybe talk to somebody. Using a wristwatch. Having a wristwatch is one more way not to check your mobile phone all the time, because many of us check the time on their mobile phones nowadays. I'm not using any kind of watch at the moment, but I used to have one of those activity bracelets. It soon started to feel like it was controlling me. It was always complaining to me that I should be exercising more or whatever. And I don't know why people feel the need to have a gadget for telling them how they're feeling, if they slept well enough, if they're eating well. Because I think those are things that are pretty easily detected without a gadget. And that's a valuable skill to have, to learn to listen to your body, to listen to its messages and interpret them, to know when a message is important or when it's just a false message. Of course, if your sleep and exercise routines and everything is really chaotic, those devices can maybe help you get started. But I have heard from other people as well that when people who have used these devices a lot, that they are taking a step back, feeling like those gadgets are not that necessary. Music records. I was born in 1981, so I lived my early adolescence in the time of CDs. Of course, nowadays we have a Spotify subscription, and I don't know if I'm ready to leave that completely. Right now, all the CDs we have, and my husband also has a pretty extensive LP collection. It's all in the storage right now. We haven't really listened to those records in ages. But I just suggested to my husband that we should get a record player and start playing them again, at least every once in a while. Because when I'm listening to music on Spotify, I forget what is the music that I like, because I don't have the collection of records in front of me to choose from. Of course, you can save artists and records and everything like that, but I just feel like I would benefit from having the records as physical objects in front of me. If you have ever been watching movies on Netflix, you know the decision fatigue that comes from having so many options. You have hundreds or maybe thousands, I don't know how many options they have, but in any case, you have so many options and you just scroll and scroll and nothing seems interesting enough. So maybe it would be better to just have less options and really commit to those choices. When I was in my 30s, me and my husband had this, we called it the movie club with another couple. We met something like once a month, and we chose a movie and we watched it. And then it was during the time before streaming services, or at least they weren't as common as they are now. So we used to order DVDs online, and we had to really plan carefully what we wanted to watch. And if we had chosen one movie, we really went through it and we watched it. And I feel like there's value in just committing to your choices. Watching a movie till the end, even though it maybe wasn't your favorite. To conclude this video, I have to say that I do realize that we do live in a digital world, and I don't think it's going to change completely anymore. But I do think that there's value in doing things more mindfully, being more intentional. And someone might question me if this is completely adverse to the idea of decluttering, because if you want to have a minimalist home, which I don't, but I do think that minimalism has some really good ideas. So if you just keep buying physical books and records and everything, isn't that a bad choice for decluttering your house? Well, it can be, but at the same time I feel like it's a good thing if we have a more deep relationship with the objects that we own. Because right now I feel like entertainment has become fast food. Like we just want more and more, and we don't stop to think about the quality as much. We don't stop as much if we read a really good book or see a really good movie. We don't spend a few days thinking about how magnificent it was, because we are already looking for the next thing. And we have to remember that digital clutter is clutter as well. If you have thousands of options on your phone or computer, that's clutter, even though it's in a digital format, not in a physical one. If you're one of those people who are struggling with how to use less digital devices, don't blame yourself, because first of all, those services are designed in a way that are intended to make you hooked. So they are using big money and hiring specialists to make you addicted. So it's not your fault if you feel like you're using your smartphone too much. This is just something that I wanted to say, because this video is not meant to blame anybody. But how to use these devices less is maybe an idea for another video. Right now I would love to hear what you think about this subject. Have you thought about a more analog life? What are the ways that you are stepping back from a completely digital life? Thank you for watching. Remember to take care of yourself. See you in the next one. Bye.